Greetings, Commanders. I'm Stephen Benedetti, one of the community managers on Elite Dangerous, and you're listening to... sorry, I totally missed that.
Good morning. I say that because it's morning in the best time zone, Texas, and this is Loose Screws. I'm your host, Ty Worsham, and with me are my two co-pilots, Community Manager, Commander Kai Zinn. How's it going there, bud?
I'm great, but I just need to let you know with regards to if it's not Scottish, it's crap.
I also got sound engineer, JN Trax. How's it going there, bud?
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be. Time zones, be they good or bad.
Texas wins. Our guest today is Community Manager for Elite Dangerous, Karaoke King, and very possibly Scottish Batman, Mr. Stephen Benedetti. How's it going there, man?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. That's the best introduction I've ever had. The weather's doing fine here. It's the afternoon, but I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be on.
Fantastic.
So my first question is, what's for dinner tonight, man?
Well, tonight, unfortunately, because I'm in England, I can't get all of my amazing Scottish foods that I like to speak about so much normally. But tonight I've just made myself some soup. But I do miss myself some of the stuff that I could get back home.
Good stuff. Like what is that called? The little Scottish thing where they do the takeout box, the little lunch box where it's like a box of just fried stuff.
So we call that a munchie box back home. Back home, a munchie box is basically if you're sitting with all your friends, and sometimes if you're sitting by yourself, but felt a bit lonely and wanted to pretend you had friends, you would phone a munchie box, which is filled with like doner kebab meat, chips, chicken. It would have like, depending where you went, you would get like different stuff in it, but it normally would just be grease in a box, basically.
So that was, we wanted to ask that question right off the bat for all of your frequent stream fans, because we know that they demand to know what's for lunch and dinner right away.
Do you know, it's so funny because whenever we were doing the Monday live streams, it was the whole idea behind those live streams is just a kind of chat. It's like, hey guys, we want to get to know you. We're going to play some of the game and this, that, next thing. And a lot of the time it was before lunch, so we would just end up talking about food, which we're not allowed to do anymore because we're like, no, it needs to be more focused on the game and on the community. But those were some of the best conversations. No pineapple on pizza. I got to explain to the world what a pizza crunch was, which I don't know if you guys know what that one is.
Beats me.
So it's basically pizza that's deep fried in batter. So,
oh my God!
They don't do that already in Texas.
I have found the Holy Grail, and it is in Scotland.
That's exactly what that. Well, so we deep fry most things. We've got deep fried Mars bar. We do deep fried haggis. We do deep fried burgers as well. Actually, you can get like a burger that's been deep fried. We basically just anything you want, we can deep fry it for you.
So basically, what you're saying is Scottish cuisine has moved the era when it based on dares into the area of it's all fried all the time.
Basically, yes. And I like the Scottish accent, but you're doing well.
Thank you very much. All right, I'm gonna bail out of that one though, before myself and country as a whole. So all right, let's move it along here. All right, at the very beginning, Stephen, we're going to hold your feet to the fire. We're going to make you answer 3 questions on the 3 hot topics in the Elite Dangerous community, and we're not letting you go until you have answered. Are you ready, sir?
I am prepared.
All right. The first question is going to be on the subject of Raxla. The second question is going to be on fleet carriers, and the third is on the new era. So here we go. Number 1, how do you spell Raxla?
REDACTED.
Correct, sir. Number 2, what is the name of your fleet carrier going to be?
It has to be the Flying Scotsman. I mean, why could do anything else? The Flying Scotsman.
Yes.
Perfect. And number
the Frying Scotsman.
Yes, the Flying Scotsman.
The Frying Scotsman.
Better.
Frying Scotsman. Okay, we've got that.
Level up.
That's legit. All right. And number 3, the new era. Is it awesome?
It is probably going to be one of the most awesome things that's ever came out. I'm so excited for it.
Okay. So now that we've got those three things out of the way, we can all relax and we can just talk as regular human beings. This is going to be new for you because with this, people literally are just listening from the beginning. So you don't have to start every 30 seconds to 3 minutes, restart with the statement of, I can't really talk about that right now because people keep asking the same questions that you just answered 15 times.
I sometimes wake up in the night and I just go, oh, I have nothing to say for this right now, but I'll let you know. Like, what's it?
Yeah, it's when that bleeds into your personal life, that'll be, like, honey, do we have any plans for this weekend? I have nothing to say about that right now.
yeah, exactly. It's like, nothing to say about that. Is that a no? I'll tell you in the future.
All right. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your background and whatnot. I know you have a degree in game design, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So I originally, years and years ago, I was playing Halo with my friends, and what I really enjoyed was the kind of social element that I got with that. And as time went on, I went and started with 3D product design. I'm a qualified sound engineer, and I was lucky enough to go to a place. Yeah. But I think I'm very picky. I don't know what it is. I like to try everything. I grew up and I was really into music. Fun fact, I've got a bright pink bass tattooed on my leg because that was my first guitar. Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I ended up going to this university called Abertay University, which is one of the basically it's like one of the best universities, and I would say in Glasgow, in Scotland, because it's in Dundee for game design. And I went up there to do audio for multimedia, and I ended up just falling in love with the idea of designing the game and how it worked. And I was really annoying. The lecturer was like, "So here's a background. It's a medieval game, and you have to go and collect audio for it." And I was putting my hand up, and I was like, "What type of game is it?" And he goes, "Doesn't matter." I was like, "What kind of story is it?" And he's like, "Doesn't matter." I was like, "What kind of gameplay mechanics do they use?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter. It's a medieval game. Go and get the sounds of medieval stuff." So I went up to him and I just said that I'm not. I think I'm more interested in the design of the game and everything else. Went and spoke to the head of GDPM, which is Game Design Production Management. Told them my experience with sound engineering, product design, and everything. And he was like, "What year do you want to get into?" And I was like, "Well, I'm in third year just now, so can I get to third year?" And he went, "Yeah, sure." And that was it. And then I ended up going off to be a game director it was a project with the Danish Film School. And we did this thing called Story Worlds, which was really cool. So I was in Copenhagen for 6 months, came back, and then I ended up having one more year. I did an honours year. So I basically got an honours degree, and I was only at university for 6 months, like actually in the building, 6 months.
Oh, wow. Right on.
So, yeah, so it was good. And then after that, I spent 2 years struggling to get into the games industry like most people do. Finally got my lucky break at a company called Blaze and Griffin, which does games, films, and post-production. And they're most known for The Ship and The Ship Remastered. That was the ones that they worked on. So I worked on a couple of titles from there on that. Started in QA, then I got into marketing. And then after 2 years, things with the company were going okay, but I kind of knew that I was doing maternity cover and it was coming to an end. So I applied for the job at Frontier Developments because like I said, I've studied history. I'm actually looking at my book collection right now, and I've got, it's right above me, I've got Joystick Nation, Replay, the history of video games. I've got This Gaming Life. These are all great games if you want to know about gaming history, and even like All Your Bases Belong to Us and Game Over. These are all amazing books that you can read about the video game history. And obviously, so from that and from playing Elite a couple of years ago, I knew how substantial the original Elite was to things like Sims and the history behind it all. And it was a company that I would really like to work for. So I applied for the community manager job, and I was fortunate enough to get it. So yeah, that's about a wee bit of history about me.
Well, when you do that, you have to start out. You have to do that with the right voice. You have to say, "All your bases belong to us."
That's exactly. All your bases belong to us.
It's okay if I snip that out. I want to throw that randomly into the show from now on. We're making a soundboard.
yeah. I'm loads of episodes. That's not. So yeah, so that's kind of how I got into the games industry, and then how my passion kind of came about for games.
Good stuff.
I remember that game, The Ship. One of the first games that my wife and I played together. Actually, that's so interesting. I was like, "What?
It's one of those games that you start playing and the concept's really cool, and you're like, "What is going on here?" I think my favorite moment about that game is the fact that you could actually throw the weapons. So you would just wait around the corner for somebody, and you would just throw like at what was it? Like if you had the sword or the gun or something. If you had a bullet, you just hit them in the face with the weapon.
I would think that throwing a sword would be more
effective. It does have its benefits. Throwing any object, it does hurt them.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, so tell us a little bit about how you started with Frontier development and the fun times that you've had at FDev.
Yeah, well, I've actually got I've only been there. How long was that? I started back in July. So I've not even been there for a year. So I say about 8 months, 9 months I've been there. And it was really fun. I was talking about this the other day. I was in my interview, and obviously now as a community manager, what you need to do is also kind of your main focus is obviously to deal with being the bridge between the community and the development team, and working with both of them so that they both can work together to really work for this game, especially with an MMO. So I was in an interview, and as we all know, Zach Antonacci was there with Will Flanagan, and they said to me, it was a brilliant interview question, was, if we gave you all the money in the world with no limitations, what would you do for an event if we were coming out with a new update? And I panicked ever so slightly because I knew what to say, but I was like, this needs to be really good, right? This needs to be really good.
Yeah.
And I just went, spaceship. And they went, what? I would get, those planes that go up into like zero gravity, and then like kind of drop down. I'd have the game set up in one of them. And then I would have everybody playing the game in zero gravity to make it feel like they were space. And he was like, this sounds crazy. And he says, what about people who can't? I says, we'd stream it, and then we'd get them to fly over like a football stadium and have everybody able to watch them from the football stadium as they fly over. And he was in stitches. He was just in stitches. And Will was like, well, I need to ask HR. They might not be okay with that. And as I left, I genuinely thought I hadn't got the job. I thought that by saying that, because I knew that I'd panicked, I thought that was it. I haven't got the job. That's it. I'm done. I was like, I've ruined it for myself.
And yet, here you are.
And then I got the phone call, and that was amazing. So that was the first kind of crazy moment where I released a bit of the madness that is the Benedetti was saying that I would have spaceship stuff. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, I don't want anybody to go, oh, we're going to get on ships and fly out. But that was kind of my idea.
So for the record, I've done that, and so it's called the Vomit Comet. Oh, and the way that you achieve that zero G feel is by going very, very high and then putting the plane into a nosedive, sort of going straight down, and you lose altitude so fast that you have the appearance of weightlessness. I'm not sure I would recommend, if they give you all the amount of money in the world, taking a very large plane and putting it in a nosedive aimed right at a coliseum full of people. I think there may be some HR issues that would arise from that.
Listen, it might be a PR success, it might be a PR nightmare. Either or, everybody knows about it.
Yeah, that's one of those no news is bad, no press is bad press. I think that might be the exception.
Exactly, that was it. But obviously, I think that the fact that I had this crazy idea and I was very outgoing, they enjoyed the charm. I think they knew that I was just panicking, but I think they enjoyed that. Kind of, as soon as I said it, I committed. You know, I didn't come back and go, no, never mind that. I just wait for it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that during the course of an hour or 2 hour long interview, there were tons of other questions, and they looked at all of your credentials or whatever. But then something like that is just like, hey, let's get crazy. Let's see. And just the spark of imagination and the fact that you were like, all right, big balls, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Being fun off the cuff, is important for the job that you're signing up for. Makes sense to me.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us some of your sort of, I know, it's been less than a year, but it's a lot in that year. Tell us some of the highlights of your time.
So, I mean, I'd say work-wise, so I'll try and categorize it up in different situations. I think work-wise, I've got to work with some really awesome people, like even the people on the kind of Planet team. They're really, really nice people to work with, and learning a lot more about how much this game has an effect on people and the passion that the people that I work with have for it. I mean, some people played the game for a long time. Some people have been here for like seven plus years, and just the fact that, working with these amazing people has been a massive highlight for my career, because it's awesome to go through all of that, those 5 years of trying to get a job and be in an actual industry, which is being for a company, that's doing quite well. So it's really nice to be a part of that. And I think I was able to go to Fantasticon last year. That was definitely a highlight, because I got to meet some commanders like Scorpius. I met Plater. Sorry. Every time
you said his name perfectly when you did the stream with him, and then every time after that, it's great.
It's one of those things. I do it every time. I said it on the stream. It's like un petit plat and un petit peu. And my old partner, she was French, and she used to get annoyed at me so much. And it was because one time I said it wrong, and I know it's plater. It's not platter. Platter is like a food platter. But every time I go platter, no, it's platter. That's right. I got to meet absolutely cracking people. Got to meet to Atreyu as well. Like, I met so many lovely people there. That was just a really fun experience. Nice. But obviously a bit disappointed this year that ECM and another couple of events, obviously for the right reasons, have had to be delayed or changed about. But actually the funnest part of my job is doing things like this, like going on these recordings and having whenever I get to have like certain commanders on, like we had the burp hits on for one of our streams. That's probably one of my favorite streams. They were like, our son loves you guys. And we were like, is he about? And it's like, yeah. So bring him through and we'll say hi. And they were like, you're joking. And we were like, no, not a problem at all. We just said hi and told him that he was to get back to his homework and stuff like that. And they were like, you've made his day so happy. And we're like, the thing is, for us, obviously we're here to represent the game and represent you for like the development side, like all you guys. But the amount of like love and care that we get from the community, and the fact that like when I came on here, I'm super excited to be on this podcast, but you guys were saying that you were excited to have me and everything, and I'm like, it's a sense of wow, of like, it's not a big deal me being here. I love to come on these things. So probably those are the big highlights for me, is whenever I get to speak to any commanders that come and do some of our streams, or when I actually get to meet you guys, and when I get to come on to things like this. These are my highlights from working.
Now, you've hit on the fact that, going through some interesting times right now with regard to the, ECM 20 is currently delayed, but I want to make it very clear to everyone who's listening. ECM 20 is still happening on the days that it was originally scheduled, but it is transitioning to a virtual ECM 20. So they are going to do, the crazy guys that we love over at Hutton are setting up a virtual ECM. So it's going to be a stream-a-palooza of get-togethers and events. You can check for everything on the Hutton Discord. They're going to have different streams. They're going to have people doing tabletop games with online components. They're going to have all kinds of stuff. They refuse to be stopped on the day of the event. But as you said, they, for safety concerns, have had to postpone the face-to-face version of the meet until an undisclosed time in the future when everything sort of settles down and it's safe to do it. Can you tell us, I know Frontier Development released 2 statements in the last week. The first was that everything is going to continue sort of as scheduled. There's no delays or pushbacks on anything as of yet, but that you will let us know, and that the team at Frontier is currently working from home. The second announcement was that unfortunately, because of the situation, as of now, the streams are sort of on hold. Live streams, the twice a week live streams are on hold. That, watch this space because there will be announcements and stuff happening. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so like you said, right now, the big concern that we have is the company of, we announced there was 500 employees, is the safety of everybody there. And the safety for us is, as much as there's a bunch of us that still want to go into work, but we're really not allowed at this stage. So because of that, for the safety, the company has the guys, like all of our people on a big shout out to the tech and site and HR and everybody who works on those parts have been phenomenal. We were sent home to work from home, and we've got laptops, and they're still making sure that we're able to access everything. It's still secure to make sure that we can all do our work from home. And then there's certain things like if we have to come in and do something. So, for instance, this week we've been predominantly working from home, and we still have access to everything, and we are trying to keep each other sane by constantly in communications and make sure everybody's okay and everybody's getting stuff done. And I think one of the guys in the work even came up with like a hangout, and we've all been swapping, like if we've not already got each other on PlayStation or Xbox or PC, we've all tried to communicate with that. So the effect that it does have on us is obviously it takes a lot of time for us to get home and get set up and get everything sorted. But the team that we work for are fantastic. We're constantly communicating, constantly adapting, and we don't expect any delays to any of the current plans that we have in place. But obviously, it's dependable on what happens in the government and how they're going to handle this issue. And then if people are getting sick as well. So we just wanted to make sure that we know this. And the point of that communication was everybody knows this is happening. We might have to make some changes, but if anything happens, we're going to let you guys know as soon as possible. So for instance, like we said with the live streams, Thursday live stream was cancelled because even though we're not on 100% lockdown yet, if the UK government decides that we're not allowed to leave our houses unless we're going for I think the next stage for us is, because they've closed all the pubs and restaurants and cafes. I almost cried last night because the pubs are all closed. But because of that, we're trying not to take any chances, and we're trying to create any backups. So if next week, for instance, or the week after happens and we're not allowed in offices at all or to leave our houses, we can't do any live streams. But we are, the community team especially, and obviously the whole marketing and publishing side of things, we're looking into alternatives. May that be doing some events with us, like going into people's streams with we even obviously looked at can we stream it from home. We've looked at different things like that, and we are looking into the best possible way, because we feel like this time is really important as a community and as a people, is to kind of stick together and keep everybody and understanding and towards a similar mindset of being safe and being secure and not over panicking. So when it comes to the live streams right now, we don't plan on going into the office to do like our Monday lunchtime one or to do our Thursday night one, just through safety of our staff. But if it turns out that we're still okay to do stuff in certain ways or different ways, we're definitely looking into all of that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Of course, we love suggestions.
So while you're not doing your regular live streams right now, I would like to suggest that you do some cheeky little pop-ins in a couple of streams. Mm-hmm. I would like to suggest there's a streamer you probably have never heard of her, Artemis.
Oh, we've heard of that. Oh,
yeah.
She's I think she's just new.
Yeah, she is new, but I think she's going places. So I would check out. Yeah. I would check out that one. I would think that, I know that she's probably not going to be friendly at all to the game or whatever, but you might be able to talk her into it.
If you approach it slowly.
Yeah, build up a rapport. You got to get to know her a little. But
don't just seem like you're trying to get something out of her right away.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to seem like we're just using her.
So if anybody's confused at home, Artemis is Paige. So and we all love Paige. So yeah, I would suggest, maybe in the next week or two, if you pop into Artemis or Plater stream, maybe hit up Rusty Dog for one of his Sunday streams
this is exactly the kind of things that we are looking into. So on the days that we normally have streams are around that time, we want to kind of be a bit more present at this time. So these are definitely things that we're looking into, and all suggestions from the community. Like I've had people, like I've said this on streams as well, like if any people have great ideas that they want to show off, or if they have any groups they want to show off, or any events, like the more that we can shout about what you guys are doing, the happier we are as a community manager, because that's a really important part of our job, is highlighting everything that kind of goes on. And like we said, just because we're not doing the exactly going into the office and actually streaming the game ourselves, because we can't, we do still plan on doing things like we said. I think it's a great idea to get Paige on. I don't know. The only concern that I have with Paige's channel right now is when we were on stream together and in work, there was only a level of abuse she was allowed to give me. So I feel like if I go on her channel, I'll have to prepare myself for the worst.
Well, if need be and you need to fall back, I would strongly suggest that you visit a Breakfast Club. The Burr Pit does a breakfast stream on Thursday mornings, so that could be fun.
That would be awesome. I'll need to message about that.
Right on. All right, so so those are some suggestions. I know Trax had a question. He wanted to ask you about the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to know, like, kind of what's it like in a typical day in your job? We just got talking about how things are not typical right now, but like, what is it like? You turn up on Monday and like, how do you lay out the week? Like, what goes on as a community manager when you're thinking about how you're interacting with people and like planning on if you have an announcement, if you don't, just this whole kind of thing. Like it's very interesting. Like this is the face of the company that we see all the time. And I kind of want to know, like, what's it like through your eyes?
Yeah, well, so it's actually obviously, so let's take a hypothetical one. So we'll say that there is, there's always stuff going on. So we'll go hypothetically, I wake up in the morning, I have a wee cry because I've read the comments from the night before. No, I'm joking. No, I wake up in the morning. I get into work, and as soon as you kind of get into work, you're kind of aware, obviously, the things have happened amongst the weekend because you've checked out on Friday. So a lot of the time I'll be looking through certain things like the forums, social media. We'll just be checking that there's nothing on fire, nobody's panicking, there's no unanswered questions, and we'll make sure that like moderators are okay. We'll check those chats and just make sure nothing's broken down over the weekend. Once we do that, it then depends on what we're working on. So say for instance, if there was an update, so back with like the September update, I would be working on the key messaging that would be going out to the forums. So when that comes to that, whenever we have an update, we have a kind of community plan that goes along with the publishing plan, the kind of marketing plan as it all. And then we have to make sure that whenever something's getting released or announced or updates, that we have the right dates, times, information to put out. And that's all really important because obviously when we write stuff, there's going to be a certain different class of people looking into it going, oh, they said this, but does that mean this? So we need to make sure that we manage that expectation. But also we need to make sure we give as much information as we can. So a lot of my time is spent writing a lot of that stuff out and making sure that everything's okay with the community. So normally when I come in, I'm straight onto the forums. I look at the Steam forums. I look through the Reddit. I look on the Discord channels just to make sure I know what's happening. And then we start getting closer to about, so I'm kind of typing all this stuff up. It gets to about the Monday stream, which is changed because we now, rather than us just playing the game and having just a casual chat, we've tried to push the focus to speak about what's going on with the community a wee bit more and what's happening within the game. So I kind of try and get all that information together, make sure that from everything that I've got from last week and this week, and grab the different screenshots that we want to show off. And then we'll go into the stream, have a really good time with everybody and make sure we can chat and update. And then after that, it obviously depends what kind of meetings we have as well, because we have meetings about different things that are going on. We then it's quite interesting. I need to do that as well. I've also got to get that done, and then I'm getting fitness. So yeah, it's a lot of kind of getting the knowledge base, getting the understanding of what's going on, and then if anything happens. So, for instance, more recently, people would say about the information about mining, the mining changes that we made, or upset around the Galnet, or different things like that. Whenever we see a thread about that, we want to jump in and comment on it and make sure that everybody's got the understanding. But it's not as easy as just going, oh, this person, John 866, has came up and said that you guys all are stupid and you shouldn't have done this decision. And, basically the nasty stuff of, we can't obviously just jump on ad hoc and be like, hey man, sorry, you're okay. It takes a lot of going, well, why is he so upset? What's upset him? How can we communicate with him in the correct way to understand his frustration, to help towards coming to a conclusion, and then actually giving him the best response that we can to make him understand that he's been heard, and have other people understand that as well.
So I know Ty has a question, but I'm just going to jump in real quick to say that with regard to anybody on the phone, the Galnet issue, you should just respond to him, stop your whinging, you wee Sasanic bastard.
Well, this is another thing. I'm not allowed. Hold your wisht is one that we would use, which is hold your tongue. Basically, was we'd say hold your wisht in Scotland. So if say if you're a child and you're with your mammy and stuff like that, and you kept like complaining about something, your mum would just turn and go, hold your wisht.
All right, Ty.
So you kind of mentioned that when you're kind of going through the forums, you look at like you have to kind of, when you're doing your responses, you have to kind of filter them a little bit in regards to people don't like, well, they're saying this, but are they really meaning this kind of stuff? You ever seen like the weird, like what's your craziest conspiracy theory that you've heard from the community that's just completely not true? Now, don't throw anybody under the bus, of course. So.
No, of course. The craziest ones. I think has got to be about David Braben. The fact that everybody's like, he's been taken over by lizards. He's he's not involved in the game anymore. And I literally. I remember recently I said hi to his partner as they were walking out the thing with the office. He's there all the time, and he has just as much influence and discussion about the game today as he always has. It's his baby. Obviously, he loves all of his projects. Like he loves Planet Zoo. He loves Planet Coaster. He loves all of them. But as we all know, this was his first baby. This was his child, and he's just with Elite. And obviously, Elite Dangerous is just as important to him now as it's ever been. And he is still a massive part in it. He's not as front facing on the cameras and stuff like that as he used to be. But obviously, he's trying to make sure that we're running a company and that his games have success. So he's given us the responsibility to kind of manage that and help that out and do stuff. So we still have him on the 24-hour live stream. We had those models won by by two amazing commanders who raised a lot of, who auctioned a lot of money for them. Those different models of the ships, and basically those were signed by David. I just went to his office and asked him to sign them, and he said no problem and signed them for us. So he's definitely still there. But actually, this brings me to another point. This does bring me to another point. I've actually always on I remember when I was doing the 24-hour live stream. I think it was hour 22, and it was just 22 hours. The delirium had set in, and I brought out the Imperial cutter. So I had the cutter here, and I turned to Colo and I went, "What ship is this?" Now the reason I said that was to do the kind of, you'd watch those TV shows and they'd have the model and they'd be like, well, dog, this is a da 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 da.
You're pitching to him.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, just for that, and Colo was like, "Oh, I don't know," and then Patron, "I don't know," and I went, "I think it's a car, guys," and they went, "Ah." And then there was a whole forum thread after that about how the fact that I don't know my ships and that I'm a terrible community manager because I don't even know the game.
You were literally just doing a setup for you were doing the setup punchline, like, "Hey, what is this?" And then, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the bit that kind of got me was one, I didn't know what it was. It was just doing a setup. Two, I was 22 hours in my 24-hour live stream. I'd been up for about 30 hours at that point because we were in at 9 o'clock getting everything prepared. Yeah. I was like, if I forget something, can you forgive me, please?
Well, at that point, you'd be forgiven for looking at your left hand, going, "What is this?"
I don't even know where I am.
Well, speaking of the live stream, I know that there was a cheeky bit of there was a thing that was put up for auction that if somebody had donated, I think it was £100 or whatever, that your tartan pants were gonna. Now, I want to clarify this because you said that someone could bid on these tartan pants. They could get these tartan pants, and I just want to be clear: you might have sabotaged your own bidding because you said tartan pants, which makes sense to us Americans, but to people in the UK, they might have mistook your trousers reference to say we're auctioning off your underwear, in which case, no offense, but I could see why some people wouldn't bid. I know Ty was ready to bid under that circumstance.
I'm surprised it didn't go for more.
Yeah, right?
Well, yeah, it was actually the first segment. So we all did the introduction, we all did the hi. And then it was the first segment that I was doing alone. I think it was with one of the producers on Elite. And we were playing, the older game? It was the retro gaming section that we were doing. Zork, I think it was. And anyway,
nice.
we were playing that, and I was sitting there with these tartan trousers on, and somebody just went, "Why don't you auction off those trousers?" And I was like, "I'll do it. I'll auction off these trousers for 100." And nobody auctioned off it. And I think you're totally right. Actually, people might have thought. And just for clarification, I own no tartan pants. Right? I do own tartan trousers, but I'm not that bad that I go to bed with tartan pants.
So real quick, I'm going to need you to clarify. Who was it that suggested the auction again?
I can't remember. Who was it?
Well, just for the record, you actually have that person on air now suggesting that you take off your pants. So
was it Ty?
Giddy up.
But, who was it?
I think.
Wait, was it me?
Considering this happened on a.
See, all I remember is that. Remember these live streams we have, like it's just the chat's pinging, and I just saw pants for sale, and I went, "What?"
don't even have time to look.
That's great.
Yeah,
so that's great. I'm glad.
Hey, just to roll back briefly, I'm just going over my notes, and I realized that in all that conversation, I did not hear an express denial that David Braben is a lizard. So, David Braben, lizard confirmed.
It's redacted.
Redacted again. Okay.
I happen to know that it was stated emphatically on actually 2 separate streams that David Braben is not a lizard, and also that he was not captured by Thargoids. He would never allow that to happen.
I did say that, but also, if David Braben was a lizard, do you not think that he would force me to say that he isn't a lizard? And also, if the Thargoids had captured him, Do you not think they would have made me say that they hadn't captured him?
Wait a second. Every time I see DBOBE, I was thinking it's David Braben, Order of the British Empire. But are you telling me that it might in fact be David Braben, Order of the Bug Eaters?
Listen, we're in a safe space here, and I'm but I cannot confirm or deny any of that.
Oh, Jesus Christ! This is the kind of shenanigans that they let you home.
Exactly.
Oh man! All right. So on last week's episode of the show, we did for Kai's question. We have a segment every week where we do Kai's question, and that week's Kai's question is, "What do you want to see the community managers stream?" My suggestion was I would like to see an internship with the SPVFA. So I would like to see you guys do a stream where you travel to someplace with the SPVFA and they spend a full hour teaching you guys how to do some of the amazing camera tricks and get the lighting just right and frame and whatnot, so that they can teach you, and by extension, all of us, how to get some of those amazing photographs so that we submit them for your stream ideas and stuff.
I think that's an awesome idea.
Ty's idea was he would like to see the community managers do a high-level CQC esports style challenge. So like you guys would not be competing. You guys would be doing color commentary and like doing the highlights and all that stuff while two teams of like very, very high-level CQC competitors go at it. He would like to see you guys host it like almost like, Monday Night Football where the guys are in the booth and they're talking about, oh, did you see that play? Oh, did you see this? Did you see that? And kind of just talking through it to hype up CQC.
Nice. I love these ideas. They're brilliant.
Trax's idea, he wants to see the community managers do a similar thing, color commentary with high-level racers. So get some buckyballers together, let them practice for a week on a thing, and then do a thing, sort of at the same time, or submit their videos and you guys kind of go over the highlights, or something with the elite racers. I want to just highlight some of the ones. There's just a few from the community because some of these are really, really good. Alec Turner wrote in, he said he would like to see relay races with buckyballers like Steven, Bruce, and Will. So basically, the community management team people in buckyball race, sort of, what do you call that? Where you pass the baton.
The
relay race.
Relay. Yeah.
A relay race with buckyballers or whatever, so that each of you, like it's, say you and Alec Turner versus Bruce and Sanderling and Will with, terrorist. What is it? Terrorist? I always forget his name, but like 3 really good racers with 3 community managers each on the team. That was his first suggestion. His second suggestion, and this one I think is gold, and really you should definitely do. Here's another suggestion for the community managers and or Steven interview. I'd actually like to see a Discovery Scanner style deep dive episode looking into the life of a community manager. What do these folks actually do starting at a typical 9 a.m. or so, 9 to 5 day? And what are the best bits of their job? What are the worst? I can guess saying, no, I can't tell you about fleet carriers for the 5,000th time. What's difficult that people in the community underestimate? With other Discovery Scanner episodes, help us to understand why you can do or say X or Y. This, I think, would really help.
Okay. Yeah, I like that idea.
Gav Cook said, how about a stream where the community managers design a race or a challenge for the buckyballers to attempt? Chig had wrote in to say, I suggest that the CMs travel to a place suggested by the developers. It could lead to a new kind of megaship, a station, point of interest, hell, just about anything. You don't know, there's tons of stuff out there in the galaxy, and I'm sure there's some stuff out there that a developer is just dying for us to that one seems a little, I don't know, because it's like, then it's robbing players from the chance to find it in the future. But it could be something that's already been found. but that like a developer wants to highlight, like, hey, the Collection of Wonders, or the Dry Owl Awesomes or something. They could literally just say, hey, go here and show it off, like kind of highlight it. Not something that hasn't been found yet that the players would have the opportunity to first discover, but something that has been found but is like sort of little visited.
Yeah, no, like
Let's see. We got DJ Wiley wrote in to say, I'd like to see them highlight some of the lesser utilized activities in the game. There's so many cool things to see and do, and I think sometimes players overlook some stuff. Doing things on stream could make more players aware and encourage them to try out things. Couple of examples spring to mind. One would be multi-crew. I know it has its flaws, but it's still possible to do some really cool stuff. They could show off multi-crew mining or combat. I would bet the vast majority of players have never given the multi-crew turret gunner role a shot before. Another could be planetary base assaults. I remember back when Plater did his 24-hour live charity stream, he did one with Harry Potter. I'd never done one before myself, and just watching it opened my eyes to a whole new fun area of gameplay that I never knew existed. So I could see that. I could see you and Will and Bruce, side by side, set up on a thing, doing a mining challenge or doing a base assault or whatever. I think that could be very, very cool.
Yeah, no, these ideas are like I said earlier. So one of the important parts about my job is that so obviously we all work in different aspects of what's going on, but I'm really focused on the live streams and coming up with cool ideas and different stuff that we can do, and it's all content for you lot. So I love these ideas; they're really, really cool. I could definitely see us getting to do some of these things in the future.
And lastly, Dog Dougie wrote in to say, how about a mini manhunt? You were tasked with protecting the community manager in open and racing to dock at XYZ before being destroyed. Kind of like a mini Salome event.
This is really cool because and I'm not spoil anything on the future, but as we've changed the kind of Monday live stream, we've wanted to find, we get a lot of people go and open, just so they can close up. And I actually went and opened for 10 minutes. I was in an open for 10 minutes. Someone came after me and I survived.
Nice.
And what I really want to do is we have, obviously, like for our Thursday night live streams, we have dev accounts where we can make sure that we've got the right ships, the right setup if we're going on anything. And what I want to do is I want to basically try and create like the best ships for certain things. So obviously, like we'd need to change them constantly, but for that thing, and one of them is I want to try and create the toughest ship and basically do a protect the king of that sense. And get people to jump in, and we'll get a couple of people to try and defend us, and a couple of people to try and destroy us, and we go from one to the other.
Yeah, man.
That's great when you have backup, it's not like you trying to manage the chat room and play the game at the same time, and people are like, what is he doing? Like he's doing his job. But playing the game in that way, going open, actually having backup and making a fun game of it would be really something.
Yeah, get like 5 or 6 of us together, and for that stream, if Will is doing or let's say you, Stephen, are doing the flying, and Bruce is on your wing in a ship, and then you get me, Ty, and Trax, and a couple others to be your guard wing, and then to have also like an attack wing to come in, whatever, and then just
and maybe stick a skilled pilot on your guard wing too.
Yeah, well, in addition to us, yes. But you have also at that point, then pick one person, say Will, and it's like, okay, you're not flying at all. You're actually doing the chat. You're doing the whatever, because I completely agree with the sentiment that Trax just made, which is, guys, it's you look and say, oh my God, can you believe he screwed up that landing, or can you believe he didn't win that fight, or he had to run away, or he whatever. And it's like, you try flying the ship while you are looking over at a second screen, constantly reading all of the messages that are flying by at the speed of light. And you're trying to keep up with that conversation. And your job is to do PR. So you have to you can't answer off the cuff, like just whatever. You have to run every thought that goes in your head through a filter of is this a thing I'm allowed to say? Is this a thing that's going to get me in trouble?
Yeah, and that was it was the other week when I did the solo Monday stream, and I got
Right.
for Stephen video. Did you see that at all?
Sorry, I think I lost you for a second. What?
Oh yeah, no, I saw that stream for sure.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Did you see after that there was a Stephen video posted on forums?
Yeah, I saw him.
Oh, yes.
It was so funny. Absolutely, I was in stitches, and both Bo and Will came over and went, see, about all my years of community manager, I've never had somebody make a video like that for me. And it was, I saw the lighter side of it. I thought it was really, really funny. But one of them was saying, like, look, here's a couple of tips on how to help you out. And I love getting tips on how to do stuff in the game and learn a wee bit extra. But I was literally like, I literally said in the stream like 3 or 4 times, guys, I'm really bad at doing 2 things at once. So I might crash it. So yeah, I think I have just crashed it or something. But it's because I'm looking at the chat and doing this stuff. And it is so difficult. It's so difficult to do that multitask. And see, there's amazing streamers who can do it and chat the chat as well as like flying around. And I can do that to an extent, but whenever it comes to, because like you said, I need to be on brand and make sure I'm answering questions. My focus is making sure that everybody's self first.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, Ty, I know you had another one that you wanted to hop in.
So I got a buddy of mine that works at Riot, and I can't tell you what he does, and I can't tell you who he is, of course. I know it sounds weird, but they have some
Sounds like he's a
strict
lizard.
things. Anyway, he's a developer at Riot, and one of the things he's told me is like back when he was because he started off as a community manager, but the developers don't always talk to the community managers. And he's always like, whenever they're going through patch notes or something, there's always something that's missed. And then when they start playing, because usually they don't even get the release of the patch until like a week before it actually goes out. And whether they'll go through there and they'll play test it and whatnot. As they're playing, testing different things, they inevitably come across something that's not in the patch notes that surprises the crap out of them. And I was curious, have you ever been in a situation where you're like, oh, wow, they included this, or, oh, wow, I didn't know about this? Like, what was the biggest thing that surprised you in a patch?
So obviously when we went through the bugs for the fixes and the January update was, I'm trying to think of the one that really surprised me. So it's very, whenever we kind of come up with guys have a lot of fixes, we do have quite when we come to the patch notes and the different betas that we came out with. I was really impressed with the way that they actually fixed FSS, because originally, obviously, the main issue with FSS is just that it took a lot of time to tell you certain things, and we wanted to tell you if there was anything on the planet, and we wanted to cut that down. So the first method was to this unlikely, likely, and very likely idea. When we put that out with the beta, a lot of commanders were quite concerned because they thought this was going to be the final decision, and a lot of them didn't like it. So when it comes to it, we have a really good communication with the development team, or I make sure that we do. You should see them every time I walk around. They just put their head in their hand because they're trying to work, and I'm like, morning, guys. But with that, yeah, when I found out the way that they actually took the feedback and they made sure that they brought the old system back, but also blended it with that kind of new system to make sure that they could try and give the best of both worlds, I was really impressed with that, because obviously not this company, but there is other places that I have heard of, and I won't name any names, but they're very focus driven and not to outside feedback, because the biggest worry that you have as a developer for any kind of product is you don't want to do a thing called design by community, because the community there's so many, especially if you have a vast community, a lot of people have different ideas and understandings of what they feel the best decisions are going to be. So a lot of developers that I know in the past, again, I won't name any names, have made decisions despite what the community has been kind of asking for, because of this fear and worry that they'll design by community, which is quite a rabbit hole to go down. And actually the team that made that change between the Frontier does a great job, because they did take all the feedback on board, and with that feedback they tried to come to the best solution, and I think they did.
Yeah, I definitely want to give you kudos for that, because I'm one of the people that I tested it and I do not like the new system. So the fact that you guys sort of brilliantly said, hey, look, some people don't like the old way, and we've come up with a new thing that we wanted you to test, and definitely heard that some of you don't like this new way. So what we've decided to do is give you a hybrid that those people that prefer the old way can do it that way. Those people that prefer the new way can do it that way. Everybody, you get what you want. Now go away. I thought that was brilliant. So
it was like letting out. It was like letting out my tension breath. Right. It was like, oh, what's going to happen with this? What's going to happen? And then it drops, and I go, they just did absolutely the right thing. Oh, now I can relax.
But your point is well taken to the design by community thing. You know, everybody I'm sure knows, I wrote a little letter on the forum saying like, hey guys, I really like this story stuff. And I like the rest of your game too, but I really, really like the story stuff. And I would like to see some of that. The fact of the matter is like, when, writing that, it was not in any way intended to say, this was not in any way like a previous open letter that was like, we have these demands and you will do this now. It was just to say like, hey, look, I have feelings about this. I want you guys to hear those feelings. And you very clearly did. And there were very clearly a lot of other people that agreed with me, and a lot of people who didn't, but like, the idea of that wasn't to try to force a design by committee of saying, okay, stop what you're doing and make a left turn and do this now. It was more just to say, look, the way that these games are produced, it's a big budget, it's a big company, it's all set up. You guys go with projects sometimes a year, 2 years in advance, and you say like, we've sat around at a boardroom table, whatever, we threw out ideas, and we said, for this next time chunk, we're going to focus on A, B, C, D, E, and F, and this is how we're going to do it. And then you have existing things that have to be considered as well, and then the future stuff, and then what comes after that. But at some point in the next 6 months to a year, there's going to be a time where you guys are all sitting around a table and discussing, all right, how are we going to allocate budget and time, people's like work hours going forward on the next phase? And it is my hope that at that point, that sentiment that was expressed people will say like, hey, by the way, we need to keep in mind, this is a thing that people care about as well. Mm. And, not today, not tomorrow, not next week, but at some point when you guys get to the next round of talks about that stuff, that, that will at least be acknowledged. And then it has to be weighed out amongst other stuff. If people are like, hey, look, we've got this, and this, and that's great, but we're not going to do design by committee. This is what we're focused on. I just wanted that to be a voice that was heard, and it was. And that was all that was meant to do.
Yeah, and that's what was really important. And I remember when you put that post up, I remember reading that, and I was like, this is very valid. And that was the response. And again, your thing, we all read, and we all took, and we put a response together, and that's why it took a wee bit of time. It always takes a wee bit of time because we need to make sure that we don't upset anyone. Because if it was me, I'd just be like, hey, okay, this was really cool. I think that was a great response. Thanks for that, and I'll make sure to feed it back. And then other people could be like, oh, well, he's not putting a lot of thought or said that he's going to action any of that stuff, So we always take a wee bit of time to get back. But yeah, like whatever the community says, like I said, my first things that I do every morning are go through all the forums and see if there's anything to respond to, see if there's anything that needs addressed or concern, or anything that's got a concern. And then basically from that, we'll put all that feedback and we'll tell the dev team. So there has been moments, we're thinking about this, what do you guys think? And we're like, well, from a community perspective, that's a great idea, because it's actually something that they've really been wanting for a while. Or we'll say, that's a really bad idea, let's do that because the community is really passionate about this thing or that thing, or here, maybe we could do it in this way rather than that way because it'll be received in a lot better. because we try and understand what's the best interest for you guys. So these are definitely the things. And like you said, like when it comes to the kind of story element, I know we know we want to, anything we do, we want it to be best for the game. So we're definitely taking all that feedback back, and we're passing it on to the development team, and then it's up to the development team to allocate the hours and the time and the things to their planning to see where it can come into fruition. So it's very important that we get that feedback, especially if it's constructive, and we love seeing that stuff.
That's really good to know, and to know that they ask you too, and it's not just like this one-way thing where you're tapping them on the shoulder sometimes. To feed that to them, that's really interesting.
Yes, they are really good.
I actually find that really interesting because, like, the other developer that I know, he tells me a very different process that takes place there, and they don't always have a direct line to the developers, and a lot of times they don't know what's even going on. So it's kind of neat to know that Frontier does it different.
Yeah, it doesn't do that, and it's something that there. Whenever we have a discussion, a lot of the time I just go over to the dev's desk and speak to them if I have a really important question. Message, say, hey guys, what are you doing? We just chat about certain things, and we really do try and keep the importance of community within the game. So yeah, we're really important. It's really important for us to do that.
Right on. So, okay, how do I unpack this? We have to be sort of careful because I'm not fishing for information, but I will say this. There was a time somewhere about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, there was a time that it was about a month and a half ago. There was a very clear difference to me in that in the conversations that we were having where people were asking about fleet carriers, you guys went from the sort of standard PR bullshit line that you have to say because it's your job of like, hey, there's lots of stuff and it's coming and it's going to be exciting and you're going to love it. And it's just the kind of, there's nothing behind the eyes. There's just like, this is the line that I'm reading because this is what I was told to say. And that's completely fine. But then there was a time where you just suddenly in the stream, all of your eyes lit up and it's like, I could tell like, okay, these guys had some kind of a brief on this. These guys got the information and now they're actually excited, like for realsies. You could tell like, oh, they know stuff now. And that's it to me was infectious because I was like, oh, I'm excited that they're excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not asking for any details. No, I'm not at all. But like you could tell that you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. You can see the joy, because this is the big thing that a lot of people say. We're really excited for fleet carriers to come, and obviously, like we'd announced it last year and ready to go out, and from that time we've had this additional time to look into it and to develop it more and make sure that everything's great on it, and what we're going to give you is the best version of the thing that it can be. We're really looking forward to it. And the closer and closer that we get to that, like Will and Paige said in the live stream, it is going to be soon. It's going to be really soon, guys. So I'm really excited for that moment that we can actually start talking about the guys. So it's so cool.
And then there was that cheeky little Brucey bonus.
Oh, the Brucey bonus! I love the Brucey bonus.
The Brucey, I know. So you guys took the term the Brucey bonus to be the, hey, we're going to give you a FDev paint job on a Crate Mark II. Yeah. But we've taken that term. We own it now. And the Brucey bonus was that little statement that I cut the clip out of and addressed directly on the air of like new and novel mechanics and interesting ways that you're going to change how you all play together. And yeah, I mean, I'm not asking for any details, just letting you know on our side. We're ready.
I just love the Brucey bonus because Bruce has been a really shame that since I've started, obviously Brett had left and Dead Page is now gone. But it's really nice to have Bruce come in as well. So he's been a really good addition to the team.
Yeah.
Right
This
on.
seems like a good time to jump in. I was going to ask one other thing kind of that's a little bit related to this. I wonder if there's like a highlight moment for you where there was a certain thing that you got to, like a certain thing that was coming out, like a patch, an update or something like that, that was sort of the most fun to finally be able to reveal and talk about and go on the stream about. Like what was like a highlight where it wasn't, you weren't getting hazed by the chat and you were actually like pleased to be chatting and so on. That was the most standout for you.
No matter how often I get hit in the chat, that's my favorite bit. It never deters me. I don't know. I mean, I think the thing that I really enjoyed doing on the Elite side, I mean, obviously, like we had the September update, the January update. It was kind of the January update was a lot of fun because we were able to try and fix things and show people that we were making a lot of effort towards that. But I have to say, I can't, like, it's not the best one's not came yet. The next update will probably be the first. So since I started, this will be the first one that's actually bringing new content. So obviously this will be bringing in fleet cap. That's the next update will. So that idea of bringing that out is the thing that I'm really looking forward to, because I've been working on it for absolute months, and I'm really excited for you guys to see it. So
that is quite heartening.
Yeah, it will be that.
Right on. Yeah. We're all super, super excited. And speaking of exciting news, I think I has a question he wanted to ask you that came up recently.
So I wanted to ask about I'm a pretty big Formula One fan and have been for years. When you guys got that license, I kind of got giddy like a little kid. Do you like, what do you think about the direction that Frontier's going from, because I think they're just publishing this. Is that correct?
So I got obviously partnered with Formula One, and we're going to be bringing out several management games. So obviously we have a partnership with Formula One. My brother-in-law, he is a massive F1 fan. He's probably like yourself. He stays up to like 4 o'clock in the morning to watch the games and then the testing as well. He actually has been to the last, I think he was there this year to go and check out one of the trial tracks, we call it. He absolutely adores it. He was really excited about it. But yeah, this is a new partnership, which is just amazing. It's a testament to show you that Frontier Developments plans on staying for a while and working on already the games that we've got and IPs that we've got. We're really looking forward to branch out and do as much as we can as a game company.
So I also want to ask you this. What is because I kind of have games that I consider like my comfort games, like my home games. Like for me, that's Zelda. Like any Zelda game is like that's my home, you know?
Yeah.
What is your favorite game or like your comfort game?
For like my comfort game, so I this time I was playing Elite to just kind of chill on in the background, do some courier missions and kind of relax. But I've got games that do different things to me. If I want to be stressed out and challenge myself, I'll play Crash Bandicoot. And it'll take me back to the time when I was a kid and I thought I was good at it. I was probably much better back then. I'm awful at it now. Then I had Halo. Whenever I have my friend over, we always play Halo together. That's what we played. It was always co-op. I've never played Halo on my own. I've always played it with him. But I think one of the best games that I played recently was Spider-Man and God of War, the newest one. I love God of War games, all of them.
Good stuff.
Probably some of my favourite games to play. So picky when it comes to games.
That last God of War really, really struck a chord with me because like the same year my mom passed and me and my sister, we took her ashes down to where she grew up. And, it was, that's the whole point of that God of War game. That last one was you take your mom's ashes. So it really hit me home,
Yeah. Well, that's really good. And that's the really interesting thing about games is that they kind of connect you, don't they? And they can connect you and hit you in moments in certain ways you don't really understand. So like I said, I'd never play Halo alone because
that was the very first on my very first episode of this show. That's I talked about like why games are so powerful and that they got all of the different art styles in one box. And then the way that they can connect people, the power of games to connect people is more powerful than any other medium out there, more powerful than movies, anything. And that's why I love them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and even games like
All right.
the giraffe scene and stuff like that was phenomenal as well. And obviously the connection between the Ellie and Joel, with him losing his daughter and stuff like that. A lot of people connected to that.
All right, so let's transition now. Let us, okay, one last thing before we transition. I'm going to ask you this as a favor to me. Do a little record a little video on your phone or whatever, just like right before you go out. Like it could be a little 30-second long Vine or I don't know, whatever. Right before you go out and do the announcement about fleet carriers and just show the team how excited everybody is. Like, is that you could put it out after the release or whatever. You put out a little video where you're just like, finally, we get to say it, what we wanted to say.
Okay.
And I know HR has said that you can't shout it out from the rooftops at Frontier Towers, but you can go to any other rooftop and you can just, we have announced it. And then, yeah, it could be epic.
Just go to somebody's house and
sure, why not?
Can I jump on your garage there so that I can shout from a rooftop?
or just find some little, like it's one of those little where it's like a flat one story, like it's only 8 feet off the ground. It's like the lowest possible, but you're on a rooftop. Look at me, guys! I'm on a rooftop.
That's a great idea. I think I might do that. I'll do.
Yeah, right on. All right, so let's transition this conversation. Do you guys have anything else for the official community manager that you want to ask Stephen as the community manager, something official? Do you have anything else that you want to wrap up on that?
No, I'm good for now.
Which of the community managers smells the worst?
Oh.
Redacted.
Redacted. Okay, move
redacted. All right.
It may be me.
All right, so let's end that conversation. This interview with the community manager is now done. Now we get to talk to Stephen, not the community manager for Frontier Development. None of these questions and answers have anything to do with his official position or title. We're talking to a gamer dude, talking about just general shit, off the cuff, completely relaxed, nothing official. All right. So you got to tell me about this convention you just went to, man, like last week before, like you got in one last awesome gamer convention before the world went on lockdown.
Yeah, the last game, and it was probably like the worst time. You've got, obviously you're sharing controllers and everything, but we were safe. No, this is so this gaming event is called Glaze Games. And it was set up by this guy called Simon, a lovely guy. But a couple of my friends, Andrew and Michael, we went to university together, and now Andrew is he's a doctor professor at Aberdeen University where we actually studied. And my other friend Michael, he works in QA contracting for different kind of tech companies and gaming and stuff. And for a long time, we kind of lived around Glasgow together. We all studied in Dundee, and this guy had set up this event. And a lot of people donated a lot of screens and old consoles and games. And he basically put it together in this place called the Drygate Pub, which is right next to the Thames Brewery. And it was just an idea. He got a room and he just set it up with all these games, and people would come. There'd be some competitions. There was quizzes in the previous years, not this year. And we just got to sit and play video games with your friends and do like couch co-op stuff, or played some Guitar Hero, or I always forget the name of it. The bongo drum game with the 2 sticks. We just kind of went, a couple of us and one of my ex-colleagues, we all met up, and my sister went this year, and we just went and had a great time, just sitting playing video games, having a couple of drinks, and just looking at some fun stuff, playing some Tekken and all these different. We played Scott Pilgrim as well for a while. That was brilliant, and Sonic Racers and stuff. So it was an awesome time, really awesome.
That's the kind of thing that ends up with like a 3 a.m. drunken game of with like 20, 30 people just sitting around chilling on you down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the kind of chill, nice, enjoyable environment. Just play video games and kind of feel safe and have a good time.
Nice, good stuff. All right, so let's. I got to ask you about Raxla. Again, this is not the official community manager. This is Steven the gamer.
Yeah.
Just from a conceptual level, just the idea of like a mystery that was put in a story pamphlet book that was included in a 1984 game that is still enduring and is one of the most sort of talked about things of a game sort of 5 generations gaming wise, or 5 games later. It's an amazing, I can't think of any other IP that has done something like that has got that much of a hook that is still talked about so much.
Mm-hmm.
What are your and to be clear, I would bet any amount of money that you have no more official information on the location of Raxla than I do. But just as a concept, as a game player, what are your thoughts on something just of that epic scope, man? And how excited are you to be a part of it?
Yeah, so it is really cool. I think video games are really powerful with the kind of stories and lore and ideologies they get. And I've obviously, just like everybody else, I've read the Pilot's Handbook, where it's there and it tells you of this kind of mystical place and this idea and this philosophy for it. And it's like, to me, it adds certain depths, and you're like, oh, is it a real place? Is it not a real place? Is it something? Is it meant to be a symbol of something? You know, it's got so many interesting discussion points. And I think, like you said, as a gamer, as Stephen, not the community manager Stephen, it's a really cool concept to have people who still ask us about it nowadays and are still interested in it, and for something to be so powerful, I think it's a really useful tool to have such a vast, interesting concept where people want to know more about it. Just a great thing in a game to have.
I've always thought, because I've said, man, I would love for someone to find Raxla tomorrow. And just because it would shake up the gaming universe, it would shake up the universe within the game. And when I said that, someone said, like, no, but it would ruin it, because the whole point is for it to be this mystery, this enduring mystery, or this whole thing. And there's no way that any gamer or any company rather could do Raxla sort of right, in that it would take years of development to do something so amazingly epic that it felt like it was sort of a deserved payoff to the massive epic scale of the search. And my response was, you know, you can find Raxla. I can find Raxla today, right now, where it's like, okay, there's Raxla. There's a planet with a big fuck off Stargate that's big enough that you could fly a Panther Clipper through it, but it's turned off. It doesn't do anything. And, you know, next to it are some ruins, and you got to go to those ruins and decipher them. And then there's a pedestal, and it needs a power core, and we don't know where the pieces are. Like, you could find Raxla right now and yet still be 5 or 10 years away from making it actually turn on and do anything. So, like, as a game developer, Frontier wouldn't be in a corner of like, okay, it's been found and now it's sort of ruined as a mystery. That could just be the first step on a journey of 1,000 steps to like figuring out how to make it work and how to make it do something. So like, you guys would not be in any way painted into a corner if it was found. That it's like, okay, finding it is just the beginning.
Yeah, I mean that's what's really interesting. You've got to think as like in any game, you have this climax of a moment, and you don't want it to be anticlimactic. So the concept of putting Rax like into this perspective of being this wonderful, amazing thing, you really don't want to disappoint anybody. So if it was to be done, and we did, and the company, I would say the company, because obviously I'm a gamer at this point, I'm not the community manager, is that to do it, it has to be done really well, really, really right, and it's a lot of pressure. And I think that the idea of when somebody says, it's quite interesting to say, but if we found it would be ruined, unless it had more, it would be. Unless it, you wouldn't want to be disappointed in finding something so cool. But then also, if it was that cool and it's amazing, it had to be done really well. It would have to be done really well, and it would have to have more to it. And that's the big thing about it all. It's just such a grand concept now. It's got so much weight to it. It would need to be done well.
Well, as someone who spent literally a year of his life and a year of game time exploring for Raxla, and I was actually a year of game time. I'm probably exaggerating there, but a year of his life exploring for Raxla. I should show you my Raxla notebook. It's looks like a crazy person wrote all over it. So.
All the bits in the wall and everything as well.
Yeah, it looks like it.
The whole Raxla thing is literally the best secret in all of video games. I think I don't know of any other IP that has a secret like this, and it's one of those things where I would love to know it, but at the same time, it's like once I'm done and I know where it is and all this other stuff, I'm kind of like, do I really want to? Like what's next?
Yeah.
It is the only thing I think in the history of real life games that could even be mentioned in connection to or in contrast to the idea or the concept of Halliday's Easter egg in the book and movie not the Ready Player One. Yeah. It's like the only possible thing that you could really say that is like, man, this is a mystery that is that enduring and that deep. And like I literally call whenever I'm doing anything that's Raxla Hunt related and working on any of those theories, I'm being a runter. I'm like how they say gunter for the egg hunters. I'm a Raxla hunter. I'm a runter. I dig that. I dig just all of that, man. So yeah, it's one of those things. It'll be, I don't. It's like how do you get to it? Where, whatever. It's like it'll be found when it's found. And in the meantime, we have David Braben saying on the record, it exists. It's in the game, and we here know where it is. So it's like, okay, it's on us to get to it.
Find it. No, it's a really interesting concept. Clever tool to be interesting for you guys. And I think the cool thing is that we as players and the game get so much joy with the idea and trying to find it. It's the fun part. It's the journey, not always the destination.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
So, as Stephen Benedetti, the gamer, not the employee of Frontier Development, how cool would it be to see David Braben make a big announcement on fleet carriers or on the new era, whatever, to see the genius with the light in his eyes talking with passion about the game that he loves so much that he his baby.
So yeah, it's always cool to see created such a game to show it off and show that kind of passion that comes in it. It would be awesome to see him do it. Yeah, I mean, you can't say like, if you as a game, as I've designed some games myself, and the idea of showing them off to people and doing it is one of the funnest parts of making the game, is to see people's reactions and for them to understand your reaction towards your product.
So, my friend Steven the Gamer, let me ask you, there's a little show, I think they only have like 5 listeners, so you probably never heard. It's called Lave Radio. They just put out an episode last week where they went into an alternate galaxy. Did you hear that episode? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I did not hear last week's episode. That was actually one of the things that I quarantined and going back home to Glasgow, and I was actually a wee bit for a while as well. I've not had a chance. I've got a bill that's sitting at my desk to deal with my electricity as well. I just haven't got around to any of it. I did not. I'll need to listen.
Well, I gotta recommend it to you, buddy. Check it out. Like when you get a chance, when you get a moment, give it a listen, and I'd love to message me afterwards with your thoughts.
100%. I'll definitely get one.
Oh, all right, right on. So I linked you a video I shared with you before the interview that was originally brought to my attention from Ty. Ty, do you want to talk a little bit about the video, the Leviathan teaser trailer, and questions that come up from that?
So I believe the Leviathan teaser trailer, like when a lot of times when studios are starting to look at what movies they want to produce, they'll give some money to some directors, say, hey, go make us a trailer for this. So I think that's what that was, and it got released. And I love the idea of, gas giant mining and come to find out there's like huge monsters inside of this thing, for lack of a better, or huge creatures inside of gas giants. What do you think about, Frontier kind of going down that path and seeing if we could ever get to something like that? Or do you think we'll ever see anything like that? And maybe not Frontier, but maybe some other game like Star Citizen or something where they go down that path, if that's ever actually going to become a game.
Yeah. So I think I absolutely love sci-fi games and the idea of getting into these. It was like when Anthem came out, in a sense, that idea of going into this alien planet and fighting these aliens. And obviously it never hit the mark that they wanted to hit, but I still think that there will be this great concept of actually being in these certain ships and fighting these great big monsters and really experiencing that. And, like I said previously, like God of War, they have a really great, had really great mechanics for fighting, bigger monsters and bigger things in it. Imagine if you could take that and then put on like a kind of, like Destiny-esque style shooter where we could go into that stuff. I definitely think it might happen. It just needs to be done really well, which, as we've seen from certain games out of that, quite difficult to pull off. But I think we're getting there, and it'll be so cool. I'll definitely got to play that.
So yeah, there's so many things that could be concept of gas mining. Just as a, again, I keep making this disclaimer, but I don't want anyone to think that this is a discussion with Stephen Benedetti, the community manager, and this is what's happening with Elite. We're talking now about, this is just open chalkboard, crazy idea time. What would be neat to see in a video game? Like the idea of doing gas mining, to me, like the idea of flying up with my ship, putting it in a station keeping, or sort of station keeping in reference to the SLF, like very, very low orbit, and then having the SLF undock and launch and have it be not a ship launch fighter, but a ship launch utility vehicle that is flying around in these sort of upper areas of the lower atmosphere, that is like, doing some form of a mini game mechanic where you're sort of flying through these tunnels and trying to not crush your ship, but you're trying to, you have to get to these higher pressure zones so that you can scoop up and send up back through an umbilical or whatever, like the higher quality materials, but that you have to be not too high of a pressure because it would crush your ship. And then out of nowhere, because I know with these gas giants, when you read the actual codex explanations, it's like when they say, a gas giant with like ammonia-based or water-based life, what the implication there is, and what it's sort of explicitly stated in the codex, is that it's more talking about like amoeba or like, floating like phytoplankton or whatever, like some small, basically a floating fungus or a floating whatever, like single cell organisms or small organisms. But there's nothing to say that you couldn't have every, 50 or 100 planets just, oh shit, now I'm flying around in my ship scooping, and then all of a sudden this big old beastie, Leviathan, this big old huge, the Kraken shows up out of nowhere and takes a chomp at my ship, and I just get the notice of like, boop, your SLF was destroyed.
Yeah.
How awesome would that be?
That'd be so cool. It was just the idea whenever and obviously if you've got the idea that, things called life, it would make a lot of sense if there's like these big creatures and these gas giants consuming the plankton space life form, because that's like growing these monsters. That would be super cool. But it's a really cool concept. These things in there,
Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about the teaser trailer, I didn't like the idea where it's like, oh, we're getting their eggs because that's the new Jumponium. That to me seems a little like meh. But like the idea of we are there just to scoop up the natural resources of the gas giant, and we have to deal with them. We have to interact with them or try to like hell to avoid them.
Yeah.
That to me is super, super fascinating.
It's just like most like kind of ideas that we obviously as human society, we just kind of take and destroy everything else. And then there's always this kind of this sentient being of sorts, or not necessarily sentient, this kind of higher power kind of come in as like environment and shows us the error of our ways from being too greedy, isn't it?
Yeah,
Story motivator.
Yeah. I recently did a re-listen to 2 of David Braben's old interviews from Lave Radio. One from his episode 100. Their episode 100, and one from when the game was in the alpha. So this is pre-release. And in both of those interviews, it was super interesting hearing him make references to something. It's very clear that it's near and dear to his heart, the idea of sort of conservation. The comment that he made is he would like to put in a situation where there is sort of big game to quote unquote hunt from your vehicle or whatever, because it contrasts and highlights to him the sort of depravity and the disturbing the disturbing choice that people make, where you have like, imagine some huge creature, right, that is being murdered, and it's just for its eyelashes or something, like, oh man, or the idea of like how people kill elephants or rhinoceros or whatever for the tusk, for the ivory, whatever, because some wackadoodle puts out a thing that says if you ground up a rhinoceros horn, whatever, put it in your tea, it's going to give you a boner. Like, just the stupidity of some of mankind's reactions or interactions with nature. Yeah, man, that's why I don't like the idea of it being like, oh, going after the Leviathan's eggs. Like,
exactly.
Because in that case, I'd be like, well, fuck you. I'll take more jumps and get there when I get there. I'm not doing that. But I like the idea of, hey, dude, we're not out here trying to hurt you and take your eggs. We're just trying to scoop out gases, but we're in your neighborhood and shit goes down. Shit gets hectic sometimes.
It's just like Star Wars, isn't it? When they were flying through any.
Yeah, that big thing pops up.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's the idea that life and nature should always go on and we should carefully go around it. But if we step too close to it, and as a result it causes injury, it's our fault for not learning.
All right, so let's go around and everybody throw out an idea for something that you would like added to like a module, a thing that you would like added. All right, I'll throw out one to give you guys a moment to think. How about a reconnaissance camera? So like, we add a new module to the game that's a recon camera, and the idea is like it flies over, but there's some form of a mini game, some form of interaction where just like there's a mini game interaction with mining, deep core mining, where you have to like set the charges or whatever. This is a situation where you do a direct fly pass over an object or a location, and you have to line it up and discreetly get high res imagery in a quick flyby before setting off the sensors or the detectors or whatever of an installation. And then the idea is that this could lead to like a follow-up mission. So your first is do a recon pass. That's a mission you get from the mission board. Then you come back, you turn it in, and you get a follow-up mission. And that mission could be now go back and assault that base target, or go back and like pick up those materials. Or it could even be a non-combat mission. And the idea could be, okay, you've done a high pass on this, and we've got now reconnaissance that shows these minerals or these whatever. And now go back and extract them with a mining ship or whatever. And, there's a special cluster there that you can now get access to.
That's cool.
Yeah.
See, I think mine would have to be, because I always see bounty. I end up picking up ones that are on planets, and I'm like, oh no. So I'd kind of like a kind of droid / limpet kind of thing that I could have, whereas I could like fly over the base and then deploy it. And then the wee thing could go and get the information, send it to me, and then just self-destruct in a way. so that I don't have to come down and get blown up every time when I forget my SRD.
Yeah, man. All right, what about you, Trax?
I guess I think there's room for stuff to do with like the science exploration, and like we have a few limpets for that already, right? Where it's like I'm forgetting the name. Is it the Recon limpet? I've never even used them before,
Yeah.
and there's probably some interaction here. But like to be able to do kind of interactions with different planets, like I don't know if this is part of what's going on, but like I'm thinking about trying to find this fuel source, right? That's going to start to be in the game for our fleet carriers. And what are we going to have to do to like discover where this stuff is? Are we going to have to measure planets or atmospheres, or there's all the Lagrange clouds, and there's things like that. And I feel like simply discovering them and marking them in the codex is like the start. And there's something else that's going to go on there where it's like we can start to combine them, or mining them is a very harsh word, but like understand some more and like have some kind of like mission-based gameplay around that, recon this kind of thing, or maybe there's a new kind of limpet or something. That's what's coming to my mind right now. Best I could do.
No, it's great. That's awesome.
Good idea.
I dig it. Ty? Papa Ty?
So mine's a little bit different, of course, but the one that comes to my mind is I kind of feel like, you guys have covered the modules out there, but we add modules to the game, and we don't really necessarily add slots to the ships. So kind of what I was wanting to do is let us stack modules. Like say, take a class 6 slot, and you could put 2 class 3 slots in there, or 3 class 2s. So you're losing performance, but you get more flexibility. Like this would be a good alternative to like, the multiple limpet. Everybody wants a universal limpet controller. I don't like that idea. I like the idea of basically, you can take you got a class 6 slot, you can put 3 class 2, or you can put 6 class 6 limpets in there. Now they're
class 1.
Class 1, thank you. 6 class 1 limpet controllers in there. You lose the performance of the higher classes, but you get the flexibility of having all of them in there. And from a balance point of view, that's almost that to me that makes that works on both sides. And the other side of it is that to me, there's not a whole, there's probably more programming there than what I know, but because I am not a developer at all, but to me, it seems like that would be a small addition that would have a lot more benefits down the road. Because then you could do stuff like, well, I want my shield generator in this class. I'm going to put a class 3 shield generator here. And then I'm going to put a class 3 fuel scoop in the same slot. And you could just do different things with it.
Well, I know Shantae right now is around stating implicitly in your statement, I'm not a game developer, so it's probably harder than I would think.
Well, that's the thing. Is why can't you just put that stuff in? And you're like, guys, can't we? And they're like, I have no idea. It's got one of my favorite analogies for game design and game development is, those kind of wee toothpick houses that people would build you'd get like the lollipop sticks and you'd make like a house out of them, out of glue.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is like a game is kind of like that. When you put a game together, you can make all different parts. And whenever you add in like a new feature or something new to it, you are trying to move around these bits that are already glued in. And then you have to add a whole new section. Now, when you do that, the other half of the house falls over. Now, all you've done is added in a toilet, but the other half of the house is all falling over. You need to then go in and work that out. And then another part falls over. And then another part falls over, which you need to fix. By the end of it, you've got the new thing in, but it's kind of broken half the other house while you're trying to put it in. And to me, especially with code and different things that I've worked in the past, that can translate over into game design and translate over when you try and change the smallest bit. So like, even a simple UI change, you could be like, why is this not happened? why is this ship now going fire whenever it does something? It can happen so easily.
Hey, can I cheat? Since I didn't cheat on last week's question, can I cheat?
No problem.
Did I get approval?
Yeah, I kind of cheated anyway, so that's fine.
All right, here's my cheat. Another thing I would like added to the game is quality of life fix. Please, Stephen, tell anyone that will on the development side. Like, I can go right now to Firefox from like the 1980s, and I can click on my bookmark bar, and I can add folders and organize my bookmarks however I like. Do you know how happy commanders would be in this game if you just add it? And it's not. This is not something that is stored on your side on the server. This would be stored on my side locally. Just the ability to add folders and to organize the bookmarks that I have into those folders. So if I had one folder that just said engineers, and one folder that said material gathering, and one folder that said loose screws expedition, and one folder that said, Vraxla hunt, and one folder. So I could have, 9 different, 10 folders, whatever I wanted, stored locally, that just had all of my bookmarks. Like you guys already have the ability to say bookmarks. So it's just taking that, adding folders, and adding the functionality for players to put the bookmarks in whatever folder they want to customize for themselves. Do you know how many people, me personally, Stephen, I would fly to Cambridge. I would buy you a beer, and I would give you sexual favors if you asked. I'm just saying.
That's great. That's great.
And that's not even what Ty and Trax would do. They could probably one up me.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
Wow! You're gonna leave all the work to the Mexican? Thanks, bro. Thanks.
I'll pass it on.
That's the one suggestion that he loses because he's afraid I'll fly.
He's like, guys, I'm being threatened. You should really pay attention.
Guys, listen to this podcast.
This is gonna end in depositions.
I never expected it to go any other way.
All right, so Stephen, tell us some ideas you have. What you see, not in the new era. We're not talking about that. We're talking post new era. We're talking not official, just crazy ideas that you have that's like, man, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't this be cool? Wouldn't whatever? What are some stuff you would like to see in this game, or even in different games, like space type stuff?
So space type games for me, I've always been like, I've just loved the idea of having my own ship, flying about, and just doing the kind of, I mean, I've said it before, I love Firefly. Firefly, like that idea, if I could live that kind of lifestyle where I could go collect stuff, have like that different kind of crazy lifestyle of, being a kind of maverick, could you say, like a maverick out and just kind of going about and having cool fights and stuff like that. That's what I would love to see.
That's like what's so good about Elite Dangerous. It's World of Warcraft, you're saving the princess, you're on the raid with Thrall, you're doing whatever. It's all like the big world changing shit. But Elite Dangerous is Firefly, man. It's your brown coat. You're just taking mission to mission, popping around the galaxy seemingly at random and just trying to get by to your next job, just to put a little in the bank to cover your rebuy, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Just to try and survive the next bit is like the kind of thing, isn't it?
And watching you in all of your streams doing missions for the Alliance, I know you're a brown coat.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. That's what I want to embody and do it.
So, all right, we talked about a little gas giant stuff. Tell me some things you would like to do. How about we were talking? We did an interview with Plater, and we talked about the idea of an SSV, a subsurface or reconnaissance vehicle. So, like, you go to a water world, you land on like, let's say a water world has because okay, you can't land your ship on the water. That's fine. Let's say you deploy a small platform, right? And the platform has an inflatable whatever, and it just has a little square like a landing pad. You can dock up on the landing pad and you deploy a subsurface reconnaissance vehicle, a submarine, go around in like underneath the water in a water world. And let's say you're on the ass end of the galaxy now, 7 kilometers deep in a Marianas Trench type situation, and you're going around with your little SSRV and you're like mining nodes of like, minerals and stuff underwater on the other side of the galaxy. What would you like to see with water worlds?
Water worlds, well, definitely whenever you go all these new kind of different stations and like for me, I've actually been scuba diving. I went not too long ago. I went scuba diving, and it was just so surreal to see everything that was happening around you, and to see these like different species, and to see all that stuff was just super cool. So just to kind of see that, that's what I'd like if it was my water world. Different kind of like, it's like David Attenborough, and it's like, and here we are down for a dark patch where things should live, and that kind of stuff, and everything like that. Like, that's what I'd like to see. All the cool crustaceans and lights and different plant life and things that are just scary and cool.
Right on. I dig it. What about, so when fleet carriers were first announced in conjunction with ice planets, what ice planets have been sort of on hold as well, and people have been sort of theorizing that they're coming in the not too distant future. What kind of cool stuff would you like to see done on ice planets?
See, again, it's the idea. You can think of it whenever you realize what would I want to see there, what would I do, and it would just be super cool to see. I think sometimes you see this kind of stuff like that, like the idea that this whole planet, some of the kind of stunning that would come about due to that, so being able to see these really cool different it's like, big glaciers that are all pulled together, they all come these like caverns and caves and everything like that kind of thing. That would be super cool to see, and as a kind of whole planet just of all these different caverns, and the audio as well, like the sound of the creaking, if you like hearing all the ice break and everything coming together, it's all really, really beautiful.
Oh yeah, wow. Now I'm imagining that, right? And it's like I can ice is such a cool thing, right, to render in a game world for one thing, because it can be so beautiful, and then the sound and stuff. Now you've got me all excited.
Yeah, that'd be so cool, right?
So yeah, for sure, man. So all right, let's talk about, just in general, let's talk about the concept of leaks in the video game world. There have been several high-profile times throughout video game development history where there have been leaks that have come out about and I'd like, just in a general aspect, for you to tell me how you feel, because like my personal sort of read on them is like, people are excited, they might love the game, they want to say like, guys, there's this and this. But like, it puts the developer in a sort of super awkward situation. Now they're going to be held to a bunch of like, if things change in the development cycle, if I'm making a game and a year out, like I have an idea like, dude, this would be cool. And then in the process of trying to do it, I find, as you stated before, that it knocks down the popsicle stick house and we have to do something different. Now I'm in a position where I'm being held to like account to come across with promised things that I never promised. And then like, even if I do manage to make it all work, now all people are going to go is like, oh, well, I'm not excited. I already knew about that before. And then like, let's say there was a game that had a leak with all kinds of information about, say, 2 different aspects of things that are coming. And I make, as a developer, some like release of like, hey guys, this is a thing that we wanted to let you know, like a little sizzle, get you a little hyped, a little excited. And now people are going to say, oh, well, that was from that. So therefore everything's confirmed. Now, like I'm in a place where I can't say anything. Tell us a little bit your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, whenever you start, like if you think about anything, like doing up a kitchen, or you're doing up like if you're making a new product or anything, you go, right, this is what I want. This is like the top tier of the thing that I really want to happen. So I want to have all these things available. I want this and the next thing. It's like the high end goal. This is what you really, really want to add. And a lot of the time, especially in things like game development and anything that's like creatively designed or created, these things can just not happen because, one, originally everybody thought it was doable, and 2, everybody thought it would be easier to do it this way, or time constraints and everything else that we would be able to do it at this time. And that happens a lot in development and many different products and stuff. And sometimes you end up changing your ideas or changing when you can do things or anything, and then it creates expectation. But as soon as leaks come out, obviously that then sets expectation that certain things need to be provided that can't. One's a good example. My dad's a joiner, and he once he was doing a house, he was doing an extension, and what he should have really done, get one part of the house done. He wanted to get the roof finished so that it would be secure and safe and sorted for the rain and everything coming. But the woman was complaining so much that she never saw a difference in anything that was going on, that he actually started to do a bit more interior stuff so that they could see a bit more change, which actually caused a lot more problems and put a lot more delays in it, because they had to then make sure that it was all watertight and safe, to do all that stuff. So it's the same thing. For some reasons, like, say if you were like, oh, this game is definitely going to have thing, and then it turns out that it can't have that thing because it then detracts from the main aspect of the game, and it could really, really push back those expectations and disappointment. And I think that's the big problem with leaks, that when you leak out this stuff, you put the developer in a position, you put the creator in a position that they can't really come back from, because it will always disappoint. And on top of that, people work really hard to bring all this stuff together and make these amazing things that they want to show off to the world. But because sometimes people are a bit impatient and doesn't what's available, it can really affect the launch of the game, the love for the game, the following of the game. So I think one of the things I've mentioned before is the Simpsons. When I found out the Simpsons movie was coming out 2 years before it was actually released, I kind of lost interest on it. It kind of actually really detracted from my hype and my excitement for the product, because I already knew it was coming 2 years ago and I wasn't bothered after it. So it's a really difficult thing to do. It's hard because everybody's putting their hard works into it and their thoughts and their feelings, and they really want this thing to do well. And when somebody then leaks all this stuff, it can have a massive effect on security and processes, and especially if we're making, like say if we were making stuff and somebody ends up showing it off to all these other people, it can totally detract from what we were originally going to do. So I think it's a really negative impact on something you really love. Super impacted than benefited.
Well said. So there's been a little bit of frustration within the Elite Dangerous saying, well, the roadmap, it was this, and this hasn't come out as fast as I wanted it, or that hasn't come out in the way that I wanted it, or what have you. I'm looking at it from the aspect of there are two games that sort of were launched at about the same time that were sort of the idea of them. They were conceptualized and started development at about the same time. Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, which I think should be renamed as for me, I referred to it Astro Comrade. Until they actually release a game, I'm not giving it. That's just me. Anyways, two separate conceptual ideas. And arguably, when you look at it, at least as it was originally announced, Elite Dangerous was by far the more ambitious of the two projects. Now, subsequent to the original conceptualization and Kickstarter game, Star Citizen has sort of become this just ever expanding ball of ambition of we're going to include this and we're going to include that, and to the just silly extent of now they're doing, you get power-ups from foods, some like you eat this food and it's going to give you a bonus to a buff to whatever. But looking at these two sort of not competing, but these two similar concepts that were launched at about the same time, Elite Dangerous sort of took, to my mind, they sort of took the idea of starting big and working its way down to the extent of we're going to start with, 400 billion, stars and galaxies and blah, 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 or star systems and yada, yada, yada. And then they has said, okay, we're going to put out the original product and then we're going to iterate on that product to sort of bring the scale of the universe down, like more minute, to give you like some of the nitty gritty details, including, one thing that was on the original roadmap that people have been sort of suspecting for a while is the idea of, elite feet or whatever, space legs, whatever you call it. So Elite has started big, iterated, put out a product, which is very important to note, and then iterated to try to sort of now sort of bring that more granular, bring it down to the all of these more minute experiences within the game to get the day-to-day game experience. Star Citizen, on the other side, sort of started very, very, very small, and they're, like I said, they're getting all of this mission creep. They're getting all of this bloat of like, oh, we're going to add this and we're going to add that. And we're going to add this. And it should be also noted, they're in whatever year 5 or 6 of their beta without a product launch. So just with regard to like people that are frustrated, like we're not getting enough, or we're getting this, or we're not getting that. To me, when I look at these two products side by side, Elite, and I'm not trying to denigrate Star Citizen by any extent. I am a huge fan of what they're trying to do and wish them well. And when they come out with a product, I fully intend to buy it. Hopefully it'll be good. I'm rooting for it. But for those people that express frustrations with like that things aren't moving as fast as they would, do you ever like just look at the two of these side by side and scratch your head and say, hey guys, we put out a game and we're continuing to put out more stuff. These guys over there got 9 million times the funding we got, and you're still got a beta to show for it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that?
So I think game development really is such an amazing beast. I mean, it can be done in so many different ways. Like you said, we took one approach where started huge and brought that in, and they're going in and out, and both of these things are designed to bring joy and a sense of fulfillment. That's what these games are for. It's like the idea that we want to do this realistic galaxy and have this universe to share with you. And they're doing something similar, and obviously they're doing it in a way. And I would never, obviously, whenever you compare two products together, you would definitely see this and Elite are quite similar. But you've got to realise that both of them bring different things. And one of David's main focuses with Elite is this realism. We want the galaxy to be like basically a one-to-one of our galaxy as much as possible, but obviously with a bit of gamification to make it more fun not that our Galaxy didn't have about, but to make it more player perspective, which is what you've got to do when you make a game. Whereas like Star Citizen's obviously more like kind of ambitious idea of these cool spaceships in the galaxy and different stuff, and that's, you'll see that with a lot of different products. It's just what they offer and different approaches that they have. Now, the thing about it is, like you said, they've got a lot of funding, so they've still been a success that they can. I think like both games being MMOs, both thing that we want is to basically make our game for as long as possible, bring as much joy to the player as long as we can. I think the fact that we can both do that, not necessarily in some people's perspective the best way, but the way that we both decided to do it has still got some amount of success to be where they are today, which I think is amazing.
Nice.
That was wonderfully diplomatic and true.
It was both things. It was
Well
both
done.
things.
You're good at your job, sir.
Thank you very much.
Somebody should hire you to be a community manager.
Have you ever thought about doing this to make a living?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know. Some people said I've got. Other people just call me a loudmouth gobshite.
I don't know. I think this kid's going places. Watch it. Keep a look. So, what about the concept? What do you think about the idea? So there's a lot of people that want more. Give me more, faster, more. Give me space lays. Give me base building. I want more ships. I want more SRVs. I want more SLFs. I want atmospheric landing. I want underwater scuba diving. I want a basket weave. I want to be smoking onion head from the side of a mountain while I ice ski. People want more. And obviously there's, from a company standpoint, there's a realistic sort of viewpoint that you have to take of like, we have this much budget, we have this many people, we can provide this much changes to a product within this time period. You know, what do you think to the idea of, because Horizon sort of came out a year after the initial launch and was another nice little chunk of added funding company. What do you think about the idea of like the company maybe putting out just like every year, here's a new expansion? And it's like, it might not be as big or as ambitious as an expansion of like, okay, we've waited 3 years, 4 years, and we put out this magic, this big, bundle of stuff. What about the idea of the company just getting a nice hit of revenue every year from people? It's like, okay, this year we put out, fleet carriers, ice planets, 2 new SRVs, and a new SLF variant, and a ship, and like, boom, that's a year's worth. And here, because for me, it's like, shut up and take my money. I'll give you another 40 quid. I'll give you 50 quid. I'll give you, I don't know, whatever money system you guys are working on. I'll give you 3 guineas, 2 farthings, and a duck. Like, just what about the idea of sort of putting out every year a new sort of season and then getting that extra sort of revenue stream while you put out, sort of more manageable chunks of new content?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that a really important thing is that this is obviously to do with kind of production stuff like that. Whenever you've product, the big thing that you want to do is maintain things, but because you've got an overhead, so we have to obviously pay our employees, make sure that whatever they're working on is obviously they have to eat and sleep, and I quite like to afford and make sure that I can have enough for beer and my chippies, my dinners and stuff, my munchie boxes, as I said at the start. So when people are this idea, they're like more and more and more and more, it all comes down to the idea of we want this, we want Elite Dangerous to last for lifetimes and to keep going and to bring you more stuff. But then it does come down to the idea of we need to make sure that we can afford that. We need to make sure that the stuff that we're going to bring stays with the original vision, doesn't detract. So it's like, say for instance, everybody was like, oh, I really want dinosaurs because worked on Jurassic World Evolution. We want dinosaurs and zoo pens on certain planets. If everybody wanted that, would we then bring that into Elite Dangerous? That kind of detracts from what Elite Dangerous really stands for and originally is designed to be about. So would we add that? Not sure. But might make a new game that has that. And then we realise, let's say, if nobody wants to play Elite Dangerous anymore, how much more money and time do you put into that when we could be making other things? Or do we keep Elite Dangerous going and see how we can rejuvenate it and bring it back? It's all about that. And I think I love working on Elite Dangerous because as a community manager, you all are amazing to do stuff for, because I've said it many times, the community is so passionate. You get the passionate people from frustration, and you get the passionate people out of love and admiration as well. And having those people is really important for me. So if there's ways that we can keep people playing and keep people involved in the universe, I would love to do it. But at the same time, my decision is very selfish, because I'm about keeping the community that I enjoy being with. And obviously other people might go, well, monetary circumstances and daytime standards, we can't afford to keep it going. And these are all kind of situations. But the idea of if we were like, do you know what? Every year we want to just bring out new, really cool things for Elite Dangerous. Small. If we were like, we want to do this every couple of months, we want to add this to the game or do this to the game, and people were happy to keep that going, I don't have to see why it would be a bad idea. It's a great game. It should go for as long as it can.
Yeah, man. For sure.
But where the development goes is going to guide that, is what I'm hearing from you, more than just like, we want to put something out every single year. If it worked out to do that, then you guys would be real happy. And if it wasn't ready or the feature didn't match, then that's when you would pull it back, or that's when the company would pull it back, instead of being committed to a schedule more than just to the game itself.
Yeah, and we have so many talented designers, producers who work on this game who've done it for a long time. Like they know what's best for the game. They know they speak about it constantly and try and work out what the next thing we should do with Elite is. What would people love, and that's what we get to do. That's the fun part of my job. Is I get to go, the guys love this stuff. So say for instance, a hypothetical one would be, do you know what, guys, we are not going to be giving you anything else. We've just decided that we're going to stick with what we've got, but we're now going to actually create a narrative, an actual narrative gameplay. We're just going to put a wee story in there that should last for about 6 months for the year, and see if everybody wanted that. It'd be amazing. Like, everybody would love it and it would go down great. But other people could be like, no, I only want new content. So we then have to manage what's going to be the best thing to keep people enjoyed in the game and passionate about the game and involved.
And just from my aspect, look, the amount of gameplay that I get from this game is such that I want the opportunity to give you more money. I want to give you more money.
You better
hire more people so that you give me back more stuff.
Yeah. It's a good model. That's the thing. It's like we know we have a amazing community who just want more, but then we have to think in the long run is like how feasible is that? Feasibility comes in, and you would hate it if we just went, which has happened with a lot of games. Like, if you think, say for instance, in the sense of Halo, when Halo went from 343 to who did they go to? Who's on the? No, who was there? Sorry, from Bungie to 343. I went the wrong way around. People loved the Halo games; they're so passionate about it. But then when 343 got their own kind of stint on it, they stayed true to a lot of what Halo was, but they added in a whole new species and race and everything else. And a lot of people, and some of the additional modules used to actually do special powers and stuff, a lot of people just didn't like that. They just liked the simplicity and the originality that was Halo, which doesn't mean that 343 is a bad job, but a lot of people didn't like the way things had changed, and they liked it in a certain way. So we always need to make sure that the decisions that we make are held best by the product and by the people, and make sure that everybody who who gets involved in Elite Dangerous will have the best time that they can, with what the experience we want to provide.
I'm hearing that you feel like Frontier and the community are playing for the same team, and I know I feel that way. And if we all can keep that in mind, we'll all be a lot happier. No, we are going for the same goal. We want the community and the game to be healthy.
Yeah,
and we're all playing for that team.
Yeah, 100%. Like we love seeing you guys. One of the best things about this game is the community that's came out from it and the dedication. And if we can do things to we obviously, I mean, I'd love to sit there and go, guys, we're going to be doing X, Y, and Z every single week, every single stuff. But can we physically do that? Will that break anything? Will that affect any future plans? Will that hamper anything? Do you know, with that? Is that a question? And obviously, like, this is not to do, but it's that question that some developers get when it goes to, should we change from a free-to-play model and charge for additional stuff, or should we keep it at a set base price? That's a big decision, and that's normally dictated solely on overheads, costs, and content that can be made. How can we stay afloat? And that's a lot of how the decision's made. It's not as easy as people go, I want this. It's got a lot of thinking about to actually come to these decisions.
Yeah, no, 100%. I get it, 100%. So going forward with this, after sort of the new era drops and sort of the backlog of development is cleared, and sort of any of the things that people have dealt with as far as like leaks or anything like that, do you feel like in the post new era, the game is going to be in a place where you guys as the community management team are going to be sort of are able to be open with sort of details and stuff on things? Do you think like after we reset this, we can get to a place where we can just sort of open up a little more with regard to sharing details?
Things? Yeah, so I mean, like the way that we try and be as open and honest as we can without affecting the overall product and without affecting the overall kind of vision that would happen. Because I mean, if we just told you everything that was going on constantly all the time, people would be really upset, because they would be like, "Oh, that would have been cool if we'd like." Because there's a way, obviously, as with our publishing team as well, and with our many great skilled workers we have. Like, you think about the way a lot of games release really cool games, release some of the really cool titles. A lot of people go, right, we're going to this big event, and see everybody goes to this big event. We show it worldwide, and we do stuff like that. Some people do smaller events. Some people do Easter eggs where, you get to a point, and if you get to that point, you then basically get the told that this new thing's coming. A lot of people really love those wee snippets of details rather than being told up front. So we do try and really concentrate on what we can tell people, and we try and make sure that we tell you as much as we can in the best way that we can without ruining anything for you. So we kind of do this all for you. And obviously, once the new era and everything else comes out, we'll be able to talk about more stuff around that. But then once the new era comes, when there's more content to come with that, we're going to, in the same way, manage the way that we tell this information, because obviously we're all professionals in what we do, and we know that it's the best way to announce this stuff is to make sure that you guys get the information that will give you the most out of it. Nobody wants to be told straight away that something's coming or something isn't coming all the time, and sometimes it is the best way to do it as well. Sometimes it's good to see things and link them up, or do certain things in a certain way to bring it all together. So it's all planned. It is all planned.
Yeah. Well, I like the Monday streams you guys do. Honestly, I mean, I would say even just ditch the idea of gameplay so much in the Monday streams, because I love the transition that you guys have made to sort of more of a fireside chat. It's just like, hey, we're going to talk about what's going on in the Thursday streams are more playing. We're doing a thing. We've got an event. We've got a commander. We've got and I love the dev streams or whatever.
Yeah,
so much.
Devs on.
I would so much love to see get Dr. K Ross in for a sit down. We all love Dr. K, and we're super excited that she's she is staying with.
Thinking about it, I know. So are we.
Yeah, man.
It's a really hard decision, but I'm going to have to do it. Okay. And then like a week later, she's like, "I'm staying," and I'm like, "Why are you playing with my emotions like this?"
I had thought that obviously she's got some medical situations that are happening, and I thought that basically maybe what happened was behind the scenes, FDev reached out and said, "Hey, we can help accommodate by working around whatever." And not to get into details because that's not. We don't want to get into people's personal life and a company's business decisions because you don't want to set precedents that put them in an awkward spot in future. But just if there was something like that and there's something was reached out and accommodation was made, then big love to Frontier, big love to K Ross. Cause for sure, man.
I mean, that's one of the big things that is quite important about the companies. The company is they obviously K Ross has been here for about 7 years or something. It was 5 years. I can't remember exactly how long. She's been with the company for a long time, and basically we really value her expertise and her knowledge and her understanding because she is very talented. But sometimes, like even from my perspective of talking with Kay, like I think the decision was like you always make those decisions. I mean, I might not be at Frontier forever, and it might just be because I want to try something new or go somewhere else or something like that. And I think her decision, obviously being her own, was I'm doing this. I think the company respect that, and they just basically says like we'll obviously do anything that we can to keep you. And especially sometimes just people want to change in life. Could have been anything like that. So that's like you said, it's really great to see a company that goes, no, we really value you. So no matter what we do, we'd love to give it.
Yeah, but the Monday streams, the fireside chats that you guys do, I love those. And would love to see more sort of interesting things like we talked about with like give us a snapshot of a day in the life of a community manager, and or something.
Yeah.
I love that kind of communication, and I'm looking forward to hopefully future.
Just start doing webcams of me, like
yeah, man.
The Truman Show of me walking about in the day.
Yeah. We'll get you a hat with those GoPros on the baseball cap.
Yeah.
And you can just like walk around and show you with the munchie box, and then
that just Mondays with Steven. That's it.
There you go. That's awesome.
I just want to just clarify that when it comes to the Monday live streams, like we do these things so that on Monday that we can really communicate with the community and talk to the community, and that's the main focus of these things. So if there's ever any ways that are any ideas that people would like us to do them, we're always up for chatting about them. And obviously we don't want to spend we want to spend the Thursday live streams kind of showing you stuff like we said, like the Discovery Scanners, the Galactic Intern, things that go on in the community, and our Monday ones are just focused to chat. So if there's ways that we can do that with the community, we're always happy to adapt and to try out new things and make sure that we give you the best I don't want to say show, but the best way that we can connect with you as possible.
That's brilliant.
Wonderful.
All right. So last thing, I know we got to wrap up. Way too much of your thing. Steven, design for me the next SR. Give me some idea, or a 5. I don't care if you're like, I want this one and this one and this one. If you just want to go, balls deep on one idea. What do I like a speeder bike or like a minor? Like, come on.
So I mean, I've got two. I think one like a more highly fast pace because I love the racing, even though I love the racing, but also I love that idea of this kind of pod racing kind of style. Again, big Star Wars fan, so if I could ever find a way to do pod racing in a league, that would be so much fun. It'd be awesome. So kind of more fast paced SRV would be ace. And what else? was the other one. A kind of underground one, like a bit more like proper mining, where you could actually get a kind of go under the surface. Maybe like you said before, do like a wee mini game where you could go about and actually get like ore and into it and stuff like that, and drill in and drill deep.
So like one of those Elon Musk, the Boring Company, like a big kind of a mole type. Digs through burrows.
Exactly one of those. Exactly.
Nice.
Cool.
What about? How about? Let me just try to plant one in your brain and have you maybe take it back and infect FDev with it. What about like BattleTech type mechs as an SRV? Like you got the big lumbering sort of humanoid shaped or different type of shape, like couple legs, whatever. And they start off with like, hey, they're doing mining stuff. They're pulling lines over and helping build up stuff for mines or whatever, mining for whatever. But then, the universe being the universe, it's going to take all of about 5 minutes before someone slaps some guns on that sucker and starts shooting each other.
Yeah. So I'll definitely, when I'll try to start to have a coffee next day, eventually we hopefully get back into the office. And I'll see if I can just bring that up in conversation.
Beautiful.
Casually drop it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I'm tapping out. Stephen, honestly, I could talk to you first, but I got to let you go. Guys, what have you got?
I've had so much fun. This is the first interview I've been able to join for, and I'm so glad that it was tons of fun. And I feel awesome now. I feel awesome. I feel so community managed.
That's the goal.
Wow. Trax has been smoking. All right, Papa Ty, bring it home.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for joining us, and everything that kind of happened over the last few weeks in regards to Kai, in regards to Jello and all that. I know we've I think me and you've communicated a little bit about certain things, and I know you and Kai have communicated about certain things. I just want to say thank you for helping our community the way you did, and thank you for everything that you do for the community at Loose Screws, and thank you for everything you do for the elite community as a whole. Because I've never been. I've played WoW for 15 years. I was a main tank of a guild for 10, and while we did meetups and stuff, we were really tight in the guild, but outside of that, we didn't really communicate with people because it's such a toxic community, and you don't have the level of toxicity here in Elite, and it's kind of a breath of fresh air for me. And I truly believe it's because, number one, the people that's in it, and number two, the people that manage it are good people and are putting good things out there. And, to the ones that come before you and the ones that come after you, I hope that they take the things that you do. I know you've taken the things that the people that have come before you, I know you've built on that, and I hope the people who come after you, they build on that as well. So what you do right now is a legacy in the game world, and thank you for what you do very much.
No, that was really nice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And I think that's going to wrap it for us, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us again, Stephen. I really can't thank you.
No, thank you so much for having me. I've been really being able to come and sit and have a chinwag and a chat with you guys, and really get to speak to you properly for the first time. It's been really awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Right on. So this interview is going to be dropped on Monday. So in 2 days from now, Stephen, give a nice little how you do 07 whatever to the community when they hear this on Monday.
So just want to say how's it going?
Sure.
So hi guys, tune in to The Screws. I am Stephen Benedetti, community manager on Elite Dangerous, and I'm here with these awesome dudes talking about some great things. So 07.